The lecture hall buzzed with tension. The faint smell of chalk dust mixed with the lingering sweetness of spilled juice, a stark reminder of the students' earlier clumsiness. Students hunched over their notebooks, brows furrowed, pens moving in frantic rhythms, as if the ink alone could untangle the problem sprawled across the blackboard. The equation was monstrous, a tangle of symbols and variables that seemed to twist back on itself the more they tried to understand it. The professor, normally composed, paced back and forth, chalk squeaking sharply against the blackboard, muttering fragments of calculations and theoretical musings under his breath. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Frustration had settled over the room like a dense fog. A few students rubbed tired eyes. Others stared blankly at the blackboard, their notebooks filled with half-formed ideas and abandoned attempts. The problem had defeated them all. It was as if the very fabric of the lecture hall vibrated with the tension of unfulfilled intellect. A hesitant knock at the door broke the oppressive silence. The cleaner appeared, a figure of quiet normalcy stepping into a world of concentrated chaos. Her uniform was simple, her presence unassuming, but she carried herself with an understated confidence, as though she belonged to a world governed by different rules. She was summoned to clean the floor, a victim of the students' spilled juice, and she moved with methodical grace. The mop swept in broad arcs, the rag wiped each stubborn drop, and with each motion, she exuded a calm that contrasted sharply with the mental storms raging around her. As she prepared to leave, her gaze unintentionally fell on the blackboard. The symbols, once meaningless squiggles to an outsider, seemed to arrange themselves in her mind, patterns and connections forming with perfect clarity. It was sudden, almost shocking. The solution to the complex equation appearing fully formed, almost as if it had been waiting for her all along. "I know the solution," she said, her voice breaking the spell of frustration that hung over the room. Heads turned slowly, eyes widening as the room registered her presence and her claim. Whispers ran through the students like electricity, a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. The professor, taken aback, paused mid-gesture, then extended the chalk toward her, a silent gesture of invitation and disbelief. She stepped forward, chalk in hand, her movements precise yet effortless. Each line she drew on the board carried clarity, each calculation unraveling the complex knots that had confounded the room for so long. Students leaned forward in awe, their frustration replaced by disbelief and wonder. 10 minutes passed, though it felt much shorter to those who watched. 10 minutes in which the impossible became simple, elegant, and undeniable. By the time she stepped back, the equation had been transformed from an insurmountable challenge into a complete and beautifully logical solution. Applause erupted. Some students cheered, others simply stared, mouths agape, unable to fully comprehend what they had witnessed. The professor shook his head in astonishment, a slow smile spreading across his face, a mixture of admiration and humble acceptance. The cleaner nodded, a quiet acknowledgement of the recognition she did not seek, then turned and left the lecture hall, leaving behind a trail of astonishment and respect. From that day forward, she was no longer merely the cleaner. Students greeted her in the corridors with smiles and nods of recognition. Professors would pause to exchange words of appreciation, and a subtle reverence followed her steps. She had become a living testament to the unexpected nature of genius, a reminder that brilliance could emerge from the most unassuming places. The spilled juice, the frantic scribbles, and the labyrinthine equation were all forgotten, eclipsed by the quiet authority of someone who had simply seen what no one else could. In the weeks that followed, the lecture hall held a new energy whenever she appeared. Conversations slowed, glances lingered, and even the most distracted students would pause to watch her pass. She had transformed a moment of chaos into one of clarity, leaving an indelible mark not on the blackboard alone, but on the hearts and minds of everyone who had witnessed it.